All right, hope you are well. Today, for your consideration, I'm going to be reading from the back of the book, the table of contents, and the very short preface from Matthew B. Crawford's who's the best-selling author of Shop Class as Soulcraft, The World Beyond Your Head, on becoming an individual in an age of distraction. Back of the book, Boston Review says, a brilliant and searching new work of social criticism. Crawford proposes a different model of individuality and choice, at once traditional and radically new. And now from the synopsis in the back of the book. In his best-selling book, Shop Class as Soulcraft, Matthew B. Crawford explored the ethical and practical importance of manual competence as expressed through mastery of our physical environment. In his exceptional follow-up, The World Beyond Your Head, Crawford investigates the challenge of mastering one's own mind. We often complain about our fractured mental lives and feel beset by outside forces that destroy our focus and disrupt our peace of mind. Any defense against this, Crawford argues, requires that we reckon with the way attention sculpts the self. He examines the intense focus of ice hockey players and short-order cooks, the quasi-autistic behavior of gambling addicts, the familiar hassle of daily life, and the deep, slow craft of building pipe organs. He shows that our current crisis of attention is only superficially the result of digital technology and becomes more comprehensible when understood as the coming to fruition of certain assumptions at the root of Western culture that are profoundly at odds with human nature, with implications for the way we raise our children, the design of public spaces, and democracy itself. The World Beyond Your Head is a book of urgent relevance to contemporary life. A little bit about the author. Matthew B. Crawford is a senior fellow at the University of Virginia's Institute for Advanced Studies in Culture and a fabricator of components for custom motorcycles. His best-selling book, Shop Class as Soulcraft, An Inquiry into the Value of Work, which has been translated into 9 languages, has prompted a wide rethinking of education and labor policies in the United States and Europe, leading the London Sunday Times to call him, quote, one of the most influential thinkers of our time. All right. So some of the table of contents here. We have the preface, which I'm going to read. There's an introduction entitled Attention as a Cultural Problem. Part 1 is Encountering Things. Subsection 1 is the jig, the nudge, and local ecology. Subsection 2, Embodied Perception. Subsection 3, Virtual Reality as Moral Ideal. Subsection 4, Attention and Design. Section 5, Autism as a Design Principle, Gambling. Then we have an interlude, A Brief History of Freedom. And then part 2 is entitled Other People. Subsection 6, On Being Let Out. 7, Encountering Things with Other People. 8, Achieving Individuality. 9, The Culture of Performance. 10, The Erotics of Attention. 11, The Flattening. 12, The Statistical Self. And part 3 is entitled Inheritance, and there's one subsection, 13, entitled The Organ Maker's Shop. There's an epilogue, Reclaiming the Real, and then notes and acknowledgement and an index. So I'm going to get started with the preface here in just a minute. All right, preface. We are living through a crisis of attention that is now widely remarked upon, usually in the context of some complaint or other about technology. As our mental lives become more fragmented, what is at stake often seems to be nothing less than the question of whether one can maintain a coherent self. I mean a self that is able to act according to settled purposes and ongoing projects, rather than flitting about. Because attention is so fundamental to our mental lives, this widely felt problem presents a rare occasion when an entire society is compelled to ask a new, very old question. What does it mean to be human? Such a reconsideration has been made necessary by profound cultural changes. I find that these changes have a certain coherence to them, an arc, one that begins in the Enlightenment, accelerates in the 20th century, and is perhaps culminating now. Though digital technologies certainly contribute to it, our current crisis of attention is the coming to fruition of a picture of the human being that was offered some centuries ago. This picture is so pervasive that it is difficult to make an object of scrutiny. At the center of it is a certain understanding of how a person encounters the world beyond his or her head. We are said to do so only through our mental representations of the world. Life then imitates theory. Ours is now a highly mediated existence in which, sure enough, we increasingly encounter the world through representations. These are manufactured for us. Human experience has become a highly engineered and therefore manipulable thing. My efforts to understand the experience of attending to real objects and to other people have led me to call our founding doctrine of human cognition into question and to investigate the pressures they put on everyday life. They do so by rendering some aspects of our own experience illegible to us. In the course of this inquiry, some of the strangeness of our culture, for example, our approach to education and the mood of our public spaces, comes into focus. Drawing on certain dissident strands of thought and philosophical tradition, I offer what I take to be a more adequate picture of how we encounter objects and other people. My hope is that this alternative understanding can help us think clearly about our current crisis of attention and reclaim certain possibilities of human flourishing. The weight of this positive argument is carried by case studies of attention in various skilled practices. The point of this is not to spur the reader to fantasize about becoming a short-order cook, a motorcycle racer, or a builder of pipe organs. Rather, activities like these, which elicit complete immersion into a particular situation, reveal something about how our constitution that tends to get lost in the official self-understanding of the West. Skilled practices serve as an anchor to the world beyond one's head, a point of triangulation with objects and with other people who have a reality of their own. The most surprising thing to emerge in this inquiry, for me at least, is that through such triangulation, we may achieve something like, quote-unquote, individuality. For it is an achievement, especially in a mass society that speaks an idiom of individualism and thereby obscures the genuine article. All right. That's it for this one. Short and sweet.